Orb on the movements of the Earth, episode 24, penultimate episode.
じゃあなんでアストロラーベを捨てねえんだ
There's a little bit of an inkling there. Nagging at you, isn't there, Alfred?
いつか売ろうと思って
Well, I was about to, I was thinking about maybe starting to begin considering selling this astrolabe. I was pretty far along that road of thinking about starting to consider it.
お前が出した数より少しだけ品質の高いものを作ってる
Oh.
細やかな配合ふるいのかけ方で味は変わる
Yeah.
当局にバレねえよう
Smallest
に
little details.
値段よりいいものを出そうとしてる
Uh-huh.
なんでそんな危険を冒してるかわかる
Wait, why is this such a risk to improve the quality of bread? You're too good at it? Good bread is illegal here? Man, this truly is a dark world.
パンを焼くのが好きだからだ
For the love of the game.
お前はそうじゃないだろう生活さえできれば十分満足
This idea has come up a bunch of times over the years. I think it's perfectly fine and it can be really beautiful if you genuinely like your life. Like whatever it is, whatever you have, doesn't matter what people think about it, that's something to celebrate. But the key word in there is genuinely. And that's where it gets really difficult. Not only because there are conflicting forces, right? Like what the heart wants, what the mind wants. It's also that even among the same category, there can be conflict. Just pragmatically, you cannot know what's the right choice. Add into that the universal experience of experiencing something you thought would be terrible to find out it was great, and the other way around as well. And the best solution I can think of on the spot is to try to be as clear as possible about what it actually is. Maybe to his point, asking the question, what's the most important part of it? But those feelings that pull into doing something or trying something or following some path, those in a way that feels very tangible to me are the calls of destiny. And you don't know how many you're going to get. The show would also say that a big part of that, maybe an integral part of that, is also going to be making the very mistakes you're afraid of making, or terrifyingly brand new ones that you never even considered. And then like, as long as it doesn't lead to absolute ruin, I feel like most of the time, the juice is going to be worth the squeeze on that, on those instincts.
そりゃ最低の嘘だぜ
Uh-oh. Did you call me out
俺にじゃ
today?
なく自分についてる嘘だから
Yes, that comes across. That's interesting. Observant. He's trying to suppress it, push it down because of some fear or something.
ソクラテスだかアリストなんちゃらだかが言ってたらしい
Aristotle something, yeah.
すべての門にはあれてがあるって自分の得意なこと自分にしかできないことだっけ
That's really cool.
人間のあれては考えることだってな
Huh, that went a different way than I was expecting. I don't remember this from Aristotle. I wonder, does it break down into subcategories? I mean, where do you draw the line? Because, especially with humans, thinking is a pretty good one. What's interesting is that this started off talking about potential. I actually feel like humans, arete or arete or whatever it is, maybe actually is something like potential. I think we are creatures with perhaps the greatest potential, if that makes sense, because of the range of things we can accomplish. I guess through thought, I don't know. But anyway, just among humanity, I think each person sort of has a very specific range of potential in the world, if that makes sense. I think people are pretty versatile, and what any one individual can accomplish is such a wide pool of things, but then we have slightly different advantages and circumstances and natural abilities, which make it so that it just makes more sense for us to sort of like drift in this vicinity, right? It's like if you're playing an RPG and you can assign stat points, you can turn a warrior into a mage, but in most cases it probably makes more sense to keep the warrior a warrior and assign stats to strength and defense, and I think it's like that with people, but much more subtle. And that's a whole thing in itself. It's a whole can of worms. It's very interesting. How to identify that, how to follow it, what's the best contribution I can make, etc.
それにのっとりゃ俺のあれてはパンを
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's specific to you.
人は自分の特性を生かしてる時が一番幸福だと
I can sort of
趣味
think of what that might mean.
神様が与えてくださった使命だ
Yeah, right.
自
Yeah.
分が自分で
It's not
選べる場所
random,
だ
and it's very meaningful, I think.
誰も文句はねえよ
でも
いや今のはちょっと違うな結構文句あるかもしれねえ
People
が
maybe will really hate it. It depends, yeah. It depends on where they are on that path, largely. If they're doing it and they're really happy with where they are, they're going to love it. I think one of the things I've come to and ways I've changed my mind doing videos and talking about this stuff is maybe not so much of kind, but of degree. Things that I never really considered, they're just sort of the water I was swimming in. They just seem so much more significant to me. Like those impulses, it's more than just something I want right now. There's just this whole universe of elements conspiring to bring me, this thing with an infinite amount of history, into the future, which is being crystallized moment by moment by our actions. And based on what I am in relation to that thing, there's a flow and a slipstream that I can find that the universe also conspires to tell me this is the right thing to do. You're in the right place at the right moment. That's so crazy to think about. The deeper I go into that, the crazier it seems to get. It's random in the sense that we don't understand it and we can't really trace the elements or narratives all the time. But it's not random in the sense that it's meaningless. It's not noise, right? It's very deliberate and specific. There are reasons why that is. There are reasons why you encounter things and activities and people that like grip you. And by reason, I mean cause and maybe even like some sort of vague objective. There would have to be, for there to be anything by which to base a reward, because what can a reward be except like something to push you towards something, right? Which implies there is something to go towards, which like maybe something like a goal. I wonder what is the elite of the world? Turns out it's baking bread, the most dangerous business.
あとは任せる。
Yeah, it is up to you, Albert. And now I will just stand on this dark street. What better place is there to see the stars? Oh, he's got a real gift for this. Oh yeah, there's no denying this man. Oh, okay. He's had some experiences, he's seen some stuff. A lot of the characters have this in common. The thing that is really beautiful that they're called to scares them and they can't look at it directly. And Oh, is this the last one? Wow. That's so cool. There's the element of it that it's illegal. That's on the societal level. Then on the personal level, there's also something like the fear of what it would mean, you know, like what it would take to look that head on, because it's probably going to be, if you're feeling it in its fullness, something that commands you to be better or you to work harder at it or you to sacrifice or something. Once you see it, you sort of can't ignore it. And that's because actually it's a good thing and you will like to do it, but it is very effortful and it will be very painful. Most people want to be in shape. You never like regret going to the gym, but like, you know, you got to lift a lot of weights and it's tiring and it hurts. Wow. Cool. Oh yeah, okay, this is the same. Oh. That's a cool shot. And Novak's in there too. Novak's sort of in heaven. He's in intro heaven, if that makes sense. Oh man, this opening just gets harder and harder, like with every extra thing that you experience on the show, and you know, it just means so much more to you. I'm like tearing up from the intro that I've seen 24 times now, at least. You know, I love each and every one of them. Even Novak, amazingly. Everyone except for Anthony. Anthony really didn't like... You know, there was no there. But boy, was he rich. I'm sure he had a lot of whatever the hottest items were in 1479.
Oi, Alberto.
Episode 24. What? Excuse me? Can I have a second? Or about the movements of the episode titles? Oh. Well, I guess this is my fault for wanting to know. Thaumazein.
ここの教会にパン届けに行ってくれ。
いつものところと違うんですか?
Be careful. Bread is a dangerous business. How are we going to do all this in 2 episodes? How is this possible to do anything while it's Orb?
ここか。
I think I spent 20 minutes to 30 minutes talking about the first 2 minutes of the episode, so there's a lot of time. Confessional? Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I am carrying the lie of my benefactor and his illegal bread making.
私はここの司祭。
I hope so.
あなたの勇気を歓迎します。
For real. It's nice that he appreciates that.
でも、こんな個室でやるの見たことないですが。
Oh, it's a cutting edge church.
新しいと思います。でも今後、こういうのが流行ると
How
思
do
い
they
ま
used
す。
to do it? You just like out there in the open?
罪を告白してください。いや、僕はここにパンを届けに来ただけで。
You can do both. I'm not particularly religious, but like I just find myself on the defending end of it a lot. I think it's because I grew up in an environment that was very naturally anti-religion. So that's sort of obvious. And then like it's a lot more interesting and fun to try to build things up in Steelman and try to be constructive with it and see like maybe actually we're missing something here. The confessional and forgiveness thing gets a lot of flack. Oh, you just do anything you want and then you repent, say sorry, and you're good to go. And I suppose that's a valid criticism, right? Like you shouldn't think that just by showing up somewhere and saying the right words, you're absolved of responsibility. But then looking at it differently, I imagine that if done really diligently, there can be something very powerful and productive about like having a moment at a regular interval, you know, once a week, once a month, whatever, to think about like ways you could improve, you know, like what I've done wrong recently, what made me feel not so good about my actions. And also, it's really great to have an audience for that. Weirdly, I was just talking about this with my father because he's a piano player. He said one of the fastest ways to learn something is to practice performing it. There's something about like the additional viewpoint and feedback that just makes it more potent and it just sinks in deeper. It forces a deeper sort of reflection. I mean, I feel that way doing videos also. I get 10 times more out of shows than I would if I just watched them on my own. And also, stemming from thoughts about My Hero Academia, I was thinking like, maybe I just had it wrong in the sense that I was thinking about it too grand. Conversely, I wonder how profound of an effect it might have had on my life if rather than look at all the big things I could do and just like the wild dreams, I had just focused like one by one on eliminating things that just like felt bad to me in my behavior. Earlier this morning, I was really stressed because I'm buying a house in Korea and like there's just so much going wrong with it. And somebody in close proximity to me was sort of giving obvious solutions to it. And like I lost my patience a little bit. Like the frustration wasn't directed at him at all. I just heard like a hint of the tone in my voice. And like later when I calmed down, I'm like, I really don't like that. I don't like having that impact my words and my attitude in ways that are unproductive or not well targeted. Just imagining a different situation. What if it was the worst day of his life and he was sitting there listening to me be agitated about, you know, some circumstantial problem, fantasizing about it. I'm like, what if he gave me a gift later that day? You know, like, man, I feel so guilty. I was sort of on edge this morning and he's thinking about me, you know. It didn't happen, but just imagining it, I could compare it to sort of an ideal, right? I was like, yeah, I should just make sure that that just doesn't happen again. Just be really conscious of it. You know, I don't ever want to like have that leakage of negative energy that isn't deliberately targeted at something that I want to target negative energy at. You know, like there's some danger or something like that. And I was thinking, what if I just did that one by one? Like they say about that statue of David, I think. It's not you're building it, you're cutting away things that aren't David. I didn't do this intentionally, but it's kind of funny that this confessional got a confession out of me.
遠慮せずに。もしや私が信用できませんか？まあ。
Probably part of it, right?
見てないし、妙にグイグイ来るし。
It's also like with the whole thing earlier, it's hard to face what you've done wrong. It's hard to face these sort of questions because it's demanding.
初めての利用者で、
The dedication to just sit here
緊張しま
all
くっ
day.
てたかもしれません。緊張し
You
ま
don't
くって
think
た
about that, right? But yeah, professionals also, you know, they're nervous sometimes.
悩みがあったりしませんか？
I'm not following the stars. Also, I'm involved in a bread cover-up. Someone's making illegal bread.
大学へ行けと言われたことですかね。行きたくないのですか？
It's complicated. What do you mean by want?
聖書にも書いてあるでしょう。端的に言って知りたいって欲望はクソだ。
It says that in the scripture?
忘れたいことです。
This confession is over.
一人で言いにくいのなら、後で私も誰にも打ち明けてない悩みを
Wow, what a
告白し
bargain.
ま
You
す
don't usually get this.
時として語ることが何よりの慰めになる。
It's a fine line. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it goes horribly wrong. You just dive into it. You get worse, but
じゃあ
sometimes it helps. Sometimes it helps to see what the real problem is. I think that's what the other person's observation does mainly. If it's someone you really respect, someone whose opinion you value. I was saying earlier that the clearer you get on it, the better. Other people are a great way to do that. Because it's easier to lie to yourself about what you think than it is to lie to yourself about what other people think for some reason. I think maybe because it's more of like a survival thing, you know, it's more potent. You need people to like you to live. So you have to just take the most fearful reality of other people's thoughts all the time. And if you respect that person, you say something, you're like, I just lied. Everyone knows that's a lie. I do want to study the stars. I do want to go to university. I don't like bread that much. Didn't take much convincing either, did it? Yeah. What the hell? That's the door of destiny. Confessional of destiny.
父の男手一つで育ちました。
I think maybe that's what we've seen in flashes. His father maybe had academic hopes.
父は学ぶのを重んじる人でした。
Yeah, and he paid for it. His father learned a little bit too much for comfort.
一人一人が賢くなり協力すればきっといつか誰も苦しまずみんなが豊かに暮らせる日が来る。そのために学ぶのだと。
Yeah, it's a nice ambition. This too is so tricky. It's not that the thing necessarily isn't amazing or great or beautiful. It's just that like it has to be kept alive. It has to be kept fluid and like connected towards something great, towards something really beautiful. And the farther it gets away from that source and that inspiration, the more reductive it gets, the more even beautiful things can be corrupted. Religion is an easy example from the show, right? The search for God, if God is goodness and beauty and love for mankind, and we're searching for what is the closest we can get to that and serve that, great. Right? But if it's like, I burn you at the stake because I don't like you said something different from what I've been assuming, not so great. I bring this up because education is such a can of worms. What is it? What's the point? What are we learning and why are we learning it? I feel sometimes people like they use facts and details as a bludgeon because they have the assumption that that in itself is a value. You know, like I have memorized a lot of things and so therefore I am great. And if you don't have these things memorized, you are worth less. You know this sometimes when you get people who are really smart. They aced every test, but they're just cruel and or they don't have their life together and or, you know, they seem to miss just the most basic, fundamental, foundational things of a healthy life. It's not the education. It's not the learning, you know, or we're looking for the same thing again and again in different forms. No one suffers also that's a lot.
もらえる文献は分野問わず持って帰ってきてた。あの時の父はそれが全ての元凶になるなんて想像もしてなかったでしょう。
Who was it? What was it? Doctrine? I mean, his father also obviously instilled this value that it was a good thing. As a kid, how can it be good if it destroys you?
あの頃は取り憑かれたように夜空を見てた。飽きずにバカみたいに 前を眺めてた。
Something foolish about it.
北に真上にずっと動かない星があるんです。
そうか。
Oh yeah?
それは北極星という星だ。
The North Star?
その発見は何の役に立つ？
That's an interesting question. I feel like this relates to some of the challenges recently in the show too.
このように発見は何かの役に立って初めて意味がある。そうでなければ無駄だ。
This is sort of what I was getting
常
at.
にそれを心がけるといい。
But now that I hear it out loud, and related to the issue of like, what about the lineage of information that we seem to have just lost? Maybe not. You know, there might be something to it just in itself. Hard to answer. I guess to reconcile those two things, it's easier in extremes to notice what's on a lesser end of that scale. To put forth a fact or a little nugget of something to prove you're better than someone. Probably not the highest thing, you know. Value also can be unknown. You feel like, oh, this is pretty weak and terrible. Whereas like, you can feel great about something and it might serve some purpose and you just don't know exactly what that purpose is. You don't know narratively where that fits. It doesn't mean it's not great.
しかし、よく見つけたぞ、息子よ。
Okay, mixed
よ
messages.
くやった。
Keep looking, keep thinking. I'll take that positively to mean like, try to connect this to stuff.
何
Try to
が
be
知りた
connected.
い？
Keep looking higher.
何って全部です。
A humble goal.
なぜ知りたい？
Is there a right and wrong answer here?
それはわかりません。でも
Is this
心で
that
感じるん
breaking
で
me?
す。
It's breaking my joy, my childhood joy.
この先何かを学ぶとき、知りたいと感じたとき、
Crush it, squash it.
疑うのだ。
Oh.
自分の知識も世界の常識も
I'm getting like whiplash from this.
探求心は歯止めが効かなくなる。世界を決定的に変えてしまう取り返しのつかない怪物を作り出してしまうかもしれない。だからゆっくり疑って人の役に立たない道なら止まるべきだ。
Okay, that's interesting.
それでも学びたいと願うならお前に特別に家庭教師をつけ
He's
よう。
all over the place. I don't know what to make of this. What a worthless observation. I'm so proud of you. You're about to destroy the entire world. I'll hire you a tutor. I want you to keep going forward to learn as much as you can, but always doubt yourself and your abilities. No wonder he's confused and lost in life. Dad's message feels a little bit one color when compared to the show that has a more, expansive take on it. Not that it's wrong. I mean, I think humility is really important, and doubt, and being reasoned enough to understand your limits and that you can be wrong, and being well aware there are consequences of your words and actions. Even though perfection is impossible, trying to seek that balance between faith and skepticism, to be perfectly open but also not gullible, to be skeptical but not cynical, it's tough. Serve also, speaking of things getting calcified and corrupted, is a word that also can go pretty dark, right? Like, it's for humanity, it's for service, it's because I want to save the world. Villains also say that. Novak was under the impression that he was serving humanity.
しっかり神に感謝しなさい。
I'm so lucky to have a tutor. Thank you, God. Some people have it so much worse. Some people don't have tutors.
先生に
Oh,
アルベルト、
everything changed
こ
when
ち
the
らが
tutor
以前話したお
attacked.
前の家庭教師をしてくださる
Why does it look like...
ラファウ先生だ。
What? Excuse me? How do you figure? He looks big.
惜しいね。
He's got the same voice actor.
難しかったかな。
What is going on? This is like a Rafal what if you got stars in a cup, like a box of moonlight.
先生も星を見るの好きですか？いや、好きとかじゃない。
What do you mean by like? He's like me for real.
愛してる。
I don't like it. I love it.
僕
That
は
old
生まれ
chestnut.
が少々特殊でね。
Like in another
親がいなかったんだ。
universe. Oh. Wait, what? What about 10% for Pataki?
僕たちは一人じゃない。その感覚にワクワクした。そしてそれらはすべて同じ空にある。
This would be much more common if actually we had this sort of view
一つ
in
の大き
society.
な何か、真理と呼べる何かによってつながってる。
It's a staggering chain of thoughts,
それ
yeah.
を知るために生きようと思ったね。
You decided to live on.
僕はそんな大きな目標はなくて。
That's alright. Just put one foot in front of the
僕の
other.
つけてる記録は
You mean you're not serving
何も目的もなくて
humanity? You don't know what purpose this is? You suck. But I'm proud of you. And here's a gift.
人を助けるわけじゃないし、信仰の役にも立たない。だから無意味なんです。
That is exactly what that means, yes.
では、なんで毎日記録を？いや、それがわからなくて。
I like to waste everyone's time. My name is Albert.
星座を知らないで記録を取ってたのか。
Wow, he's just doing it by feel.
子供ながらの体力だな。
The 12-year-old is the only one bold enough to try to
指
move
を
the
やって
earth.
くれ。
Oh, this is what we saw. He did this already. He was repeating the pattern, right?
最後はここに足の線を引くと
And you can just see it. I admire people who can get a horse out of that. It's a horse, right?
弓を持つケンタウ
Yeah,
ロス
centaur.
に見えなくもないだろ
If you really, really try. Try. Yeah, okay, thank you. But Albert, he's
確かに
honest.
無理やりだよね
There's a very helpful guide to this on the ceiling of Grand Central Terminal. Take that away and I'm useless. As useless as Albert's stargazing.
無秩序な情報に線を引くすると今まで見えてなかったものが見えてくる
This is deeper than the stars, isn't it?
遠い昔ギリシャで星座と神話が結びついたそれぞれの星座に様々な逸話があるけどいて座はケンタウロス族の賢者ケイローンとされてる
Oh, wait. I think I see where this is going.
どんな苦難にも折れず普遍的な真理に情熱的に迫ろうとする
We know something about that, don't we?
その気持ちがわからないかい
I can feel the
夜空を見る
energy.
と感じるだろう
The show makes me feel it.
タウマゼインを
Thaumazein.
簡単に言い換えるとこの世の美し
It's
さ
an
に
instinct.
痺れる肉体のことそしてその美しさに近づきたいと願う
compelling us
精神のこと
To get close to that beauty. That's a nice way of putting it.
と感じること
I think I understand what's happening right now. And it's so funny because it's coming up in so many things at the same time recently. This is the part of the program, like the simple manga at the end of Assassination Classroom, All Might's cards in the final season of My Hero Academia, and now direct reference to Myth, where we're breaking the fourth wall a little bit, and we're saying, this isn't an anime, guys. This is me, the author, pouring my heart and soul and hopes and dreams out to you. Please take whatever you can from it. It is my sincerest and humblest hope that this can somehow, some way match the debt I feel to this beautiful world and universe. And if just one iota, one tiny molecule of inspiration passes to just one of you, it will have all been worth it. Meta declaration aside, it also speaks to something very interesting with religion that this show and maybe all shows end up being connected to in what I think is kind of a surprising and nice way. Where like, okay, this is so complicated. We've established this. It's so difficult to get this right. There's this pure thing that we just don't have the capacity to accept and appreciate in fullness. We're just going to get glimmers of it. And the tiniest sliver of light reflecting off of its surface is going to fill us to the brim and we're going to overflow. And there's no possible chance we can capture it all. And any attempt to do so, which, you know, we do have the tendency to try, is going to reduce it into something that is just not that thing. It's lost its light and maybe even gets cancerous. So how do I take all these things and all these complications, all these doubts, like he was warning Albert about early on, the consideration of my own tendency to be wrong, the importance of contextualization and nuance, trying to approach a thing, anything, with its most expansive, most useful, most beautiful reading without falling victim to the stagnation of tropes and knee-jerk responses and quote-unquote conventional wisdom that's just regurgitated to death without any actual insight, and distill all of that into a torch that I can pass on. Well, it turns out that so far the answer is a story. Just like you can't teach someone appreciation for the stars, you can't give someone everything that's important for conceiving of the world and how to act in it. Like the stars, you have to just experience it and let it hit you and find that wonder. And so is true of the messages. If you are creating media or creating anything probably, you're taking your best attempt at synthesizing this into something that is easy to interact with, easy to take in. It's a joy to experience it. And so there's an openness to it. And even though it's impossible to have like that direct one-to-one transfer, maybe you pass a little bit of it, that's great. And you know, people take it and run with it. And you have enough people who are open to that process and who would like to contribute in their own personal special way to that process, then you probably end up with a pretty nice web of people who are growing and have a very strong, expansive, nice society. That may be just what the Bible is. It just turns out, and this is not a conscious decision maybe so much as it is like just natural selection and evolutionary survival. This is just what descended through the ages, right? It's story, it's myth, it's legend, it's religious allegory. And so in a very fun way, it varies in quality, you know, it varies on how well it presents that and hits on actual truths. But it actually ends up being fundamentally the same thing, which is like an attempt at getting to that source. I like was jokingly thinking to myself recently that I wonder if the Bible still would have been popular if they just had anime. And I think with religion, with media, with anything, any information that drifts our way, we have the responsibility to sort of meet it there and like try to get as much as we can out of it and try to see it at its best and most beautiful, most useful, etc. There's a point to it. It's not random, again, in the sense that it has no meaning. It's deeply significant. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe this is a fractal type thing where, you know, we're watching their story and the orb up to this point was a story in their story, if that makes sense. You know, this is a way to connect it so that it's fictional, but it's still truthful.
神がこの世界を作り、人はそれを知りたいと願った。これ以上に尊い欲望を僕は知らない。 この成功のためだったらどんなことも厭わない。
Wow, what is the price of knowledge?
命だったとしても
Other you did that, so I believe you. What are you doing? That's not poison, is it? That's just juice? Okay.
僕は今から極めて不適切な発言を
Hit us
す
with it,
る。
Rafal. I'm so excited.
知の探求が人や社会の役に立たなければいけないなんて発想はクソだ。知りたいからやる。
I mean, it'll probably lead there if that's done correctly. You know what I mean? It's okay to not know the full picture from the beginning.
信じろ。
Belief, faith. It's so complicated. It's such a crazy, like, web.
この世の美しさを
Believe in the beauty, yeah. Believe in something beautiful and bigger.
君の好奇心を否定しない。
Believe that there's a hierarchy and then ask, like, what is at the top of that hierarchy? And like he's advising Albert, we're probably never going to get to the highest one. I mean, it might turn out to be infinite. And it's okay to start with one that later you look back on and think was kind of petty or whatever, you know? I think generally you can trust that instinct. And, you know, you can supplement that with a reasonable amount of questioning, and it's probably good to be open to, like, the feedback that people and the world are giving you. It's okay to sort of, like, lean into it a little bit, you know, and let yourself off the hook to not have all of it from the beginning or ever. I think this is one of the clear cases of my old thing of the perfect is the enemy of the good. You know, go out and stumble around and wander, and then, like, as a cheat code, just do it ethically.
話しすぎたね。
Relatable.
次の勉強に移ろう。次は代数だったかな。
How can we focus on algebra?
星座って他にもあるんですか？一体いくつ？
Exactly 12, and then there's a secret 13th one, and he wasn't invited to God's party. I like this alive
いや、
Rafal.
随分上達してきたね。目覚ましいよ。九石法までお手の物じゃないか。
I don't even know what that is. He really is smart.
何かきっかけが？
I feel allowed to believe. Wait, what happened to Albert, though? Later something bad happened. Oh no, I was feeling so good.
数の操り方を知れば宇宙の神秘にまで迫れると知って。
That's big, yeah, connecting it to a goal.
そう考えたら
Connecting something to that feeling.
やる気が出てきたという
Right,
か。
right. That's the trick. You've discovered the secret to learning.
明日ちょっとした集まりがあるんだ。同じ志を持った者が集う。
Oh, were you grooming us? That's a dark look at this. Suddenly, dark perspective on it. You were putting us in great danger, Rafal. He's just planting the seeds of rebellion in this young child.
会に参加してみないかい？
Weirdly, this almost seems more fantasy-like than, you know, the previous fantasy.
ぜひ行きたいです。
そうか。嬉しいよ。じゃあ、お父様にも伝えてお
And
こう。
that's when everything went horribly wrong. Let's save us the next episode. I'm having a good time right now. I'm glad that's your reaction. Okay, well, nothing went wrong. And nothing ever will. And they lived happily ever after. Wow. This show is something else, man. In a certain way of looking at it, I mean, especially compared to recent episodes where it's just so action-packed and dramatic. Nothing really happened. You know, they bake some bread and talk about stuff, and he has a tutor. His father gives him a lecturing. There's a semi-confession in a church. And yet it still feels like somehow we managed to move the earth. Like I said, it's so complicated and so much of it needs to be contextualized, which is why it's exhausting. And it's much better to just see it and feel it. But I think maybe part of the answer is that we're not trying to fix it or save it or solve it. We're just trying to contribute as much as we possibly can, given our unique sets of gifts and skills, in an attempt to contribute to the highest possible goodness we can imagine.